All right, so last night while I was three sheets to the wind, I got a comment about a video suggestion, right? And this person was pitching the idea of making a video about a video game that involves being a pro. And the only game that I can remember that really simulates this is Gas Station Simulator, in which you have to wash cars, pump gas, paint the outside of the gas station while dealing with customer service and stocking shelves. And I thought, you know what, we're not too far off. Because as you guys can see up on the screen, there are plenty of simulators. I can't wait to see the Walmart simulation game where you have to navigate managing a store, but at the same time, you can be tossed into a mode like Mortal Kombat, and you have to fight angry customers, and you have to finish them. And you'll have funny finishing moves where you can take the customer and put them in a shopping cart and take them outside, push them into the parking lot where they get run over. Yeah, as that would be a fatality. But it would have to be funny. It'd have to be G rated. But I could see a game like this being something that becomes popular because life is a joke. And when you can make fun of the way that we live, then I think it will bring more awareness to the pro because life isn't easy. It's not fair. It doesn't make any sense sometimes. And there are people that go out of their way to make certain that you don't get ahead. And so if you had a game like the Pro, you could not only would you have like an allowance or money that you're making from your retail job, which is a joke, right? But in real time, you could see your rent going up and then your pay going down because you're getting less hours or because you got sick and you can't come to work and there's no such thing as paid sick leave or paid time off in most low level positions. Also, you could deal with unexpected expenses like I don't know, like one of your kids getting sick or having a car accident or having to run to work because your Promobile exploded in a mushroom cloud because you couldn't afford to maintain it. But a game like this isn't about winning. And that's the number one thing. Pros never win, right? It's just a lifelong struggle to get to the end so that you can hop into your pine box and be over with. So this is the opening line from this video that I was working on the script. So here we go. All right, let's talk about something every broke millennial can relate to: surviving in a world that feels like it was designed to crush you. Now imagine a game that actually captures that struggle, but make it fun. Sound crazy? Right. That's exactly what the Prol does. And honestly, it's the most relatable thing I've ever seen. When you can look at your life as being an ironic punishment, right? That's what life is. It's like going to hell. Imagine if we were already in hell, and that's what life is. You're already in hell, you can't leave, and it's for an eternity. So, and that's exactly the way that I felt when I was working at Walmart stocking shelves, right? Every day you come back and the ironic punishment. That can of beans has to be restacked on the shelf over and over and over again. I mean, I must have stacked hundreds of thousands of products over the course of a few years. And every day it was the exact same boxes. The shipment comes in, you unpack the boxes, you put it on the shelf, you come back in the next day and you do it over and over and over again until you don't even have to think anymore. The humiliation of the job somehow becomes palatable and you just do it because you have to. Because you have to do it. There's no way around it. There's no, you know what, today I'm not going to do this. If it's the only job that you can find, you're going to have to do it. Just like my current job and the job before that and the job before that and all my future jobs. It's not something we want to do. It's not something we can escape from. The daily struggle is permanent. Let's face it. you're never going to be rich. You're never going to be comfortable. And if things stay exactly the same way that they are, chances are eventually you're going to become homeless. And I think that should be the main struggle in this video game, The Prol, to avoid becoming homeless. Because then you're going to get tossed into an even worse problem, right? You're going to have a boss fight with another angry hobo over a can of carrots or beans or spaghettios, because that's really what it comes down to. Once you're not living under a roof, then life goes into what I would consider elite mode, because now every day is a struggle just to stay alive. So, with that said, let's get into today's 3 talking points. So, the video game, The Prol, mirrors the everyday challenges millennials face in an economy stacked against them. Low wages, rents that's always rising, and corporate overlords who exploit their workforce. The game cleverly transforms these struggles into satirical yet painfully relatable experiences, making it feel like a reflection of real life, not just a fictional world. Like I just said, what if we're already in that hell? Because every day to me feels like a um like, what would you call it? Like, it just doesn't change. The people around you are NPCs. Your boss could be considered an NPC, a diabolical productivity dictator that forces more and more out of you while your wages aren't keeping up with anything. While everything around you goes up, your wages stay exactly the same, and the odds are stacked against you in every conceivable way of you making it to anything good. In fact, everything about this video game would be about making your life more miserable and painful. And that's what life is right now. It's more miserable and painful every time you open your eyes in the morning. It's more miserable and more painful. And it's not a fictional world. This is reality that things are like this. And every time we step out of our door and we go somewhere, we have meaningless conversations. We turn on the TV and we watch the news, and it's not applicable to us. Nothing that's on the news today, celebrity news, the economy, the job market, the unemployment rate, even the temperature, even watching the weather seems like a joke sometimes. Like, who cares? Why is the weather something that people spend so much time focused on? Like, years ago when I was working in IT and I was a much younger man, there was this program called WeatherBug. And no matter how many times I uninstalled WeatherBug from people's computers, I would come back and I would find that it was on there again. Because people are fascinated by knowing what the weather is in real time. I've never understood that about human beings. Again, yet another layer of the NPC nature of human beings. Like, if you walk up to any given person, like right now, as soon as I'm done doing this, in about half an hour, I'm going to be at the gym, and I'm going to look around, and I'm going to see NPCs everywhere, right? You're going to see them on the elliptical, on the treadmill, lifting weights, all in a way that's exactly the same. Human beings very rarely change their patterns. And it's odd to me, because you would think that as complicated as human beings are, right? The smartest creatures in the world, that they would change their patterns. But we don't. We speak in the exact same way every day. If you were to play all 250 of my videos right now on YouTube simultaneously, they would sound exactly the same, because it's what we do. We're NPCs, and to believe that we're not would mean that you're crazy. All right, talking point number 2. Unlike most video games that offer escapism, The Prol forces players to confront harsh realities while giving them the power to decide their fate, whether it's leading a rebellion, escaping the grind, or conforming for survival. The game empowers players to explore paths they might feel are inaccessible in their own lives. Now, that would be my position in the world. This channel is leading the rebellion. It may not seem like much, but in a crazy world, you have to have a person that's even more crazy. And that would be me. I believe that the domestication process of the human race was a success. But I also know that you can push human beings to a point where you're not treating them like human beings. People know when they're not being treated fairly. Hell, we know this the second we wake up and we're forced to go to a place we don't want to go to every single day. Once you get there, you're not treated fairly. Once you get home and you look at where you can afford to live, this to me isn't being treated fairly. To me, this is a cage. It may not have a locking door that I can't get out of at night, but it's implied. Where am I going to go? I got no money. I got no friends. I got no family. I got nothing. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to escape to? And this is exactly why I use the sheeple as an example. You can open the door to where you keep the sheep, the corral, right? Your sheeple. They don't know where to go because for 99.9% of your life, it's implied where you're going to go. I wake up in the morning, I open my eyes, and I think to myself, not this again. And then I walk over to the bathroom, I clean myself up, and do I really have a choice as to where I'm going to go before 8 a.m.? No, I don't. I have to go to my Prolly job. I have to pretend to work for 8 hours. And then again, I have another decision to make. Am I going to go back into the cage or am I going to go out and have fun? There's no such thing. You just go back in the cage, you lay down again on your bed, you open your eyes, and guess what? They let you out of the cage so you can go back to that Prolly job again. There are no real freedoms in our life. And as you navigate through your world, you're going to run into other NPCs, and it's like they just open their mouth and noise comes out, right? And that's it. Like yesterday, while I was at the sports therapy office, the woman that was doing my therapy was a 10 out of 10. And she was like, I have a lot of muscle on the back of my neck, so she was sitting there like getting the knots out of my neck. And she's just like, I never open my eyes because I never want to look at them because then I'd feel my ugliness reflected back in their eyes. So I never open my eyes during any kind of therapy. I just keep my eyes closed. I let them work on the muscles, and that's it. But she was so close to me yesterday. Like she was behind me, sitting on a little stool while she worked on those knots. And she was so close to me that when she was breathing, it was going straight into my mouth practically. And I thought, you know what? I'm enjoying this. And that's one of the most enjoyable moments, breathing in her air, that I've had in my entire life. I had a moment there where I felt something, not just in my pants, but I just felt something. And as part of the proletariat, we hardly ever feel anything. Our life is about repetition and monotony. And for those brief 3 minutes while she breathed into my mouth, I was like, what am I feeling? I feel tingly sensations in my pants, but I also felt something weird, like in my heart. Like I felt something. I felt alive for 3 minutes. Out of my entire life, I had a moment. And I was just thinking to myself, I never want this to end. And then as quickly as it started, it was over. And she stopped breathing in my mouth. And I was like, what just happened? Like, I felt alive for the first time in my entire life. Like, this tingly sensations were odd. And you could have moments like that incorporated into the game where you're thinking about escaping the grind or conforming to a situation in which you have no choice. You know, a lot of bad things have been done in this world with the phrase, I was just obeying orders. And from the moment you have to start supporting yourself, that's what you do. You wake up every morning and you follow those orders. It's time to go to work, millennial Stain. And as much as you want to say, no, I don't want to do that, you don't have a choice. It's conformity to the way that we're supposed to live. You have to go to work or else society shames you. Or even worse, you can't pay your bills if you don't go to work. And so we live in a pseudo free society because you don't have a choice. And think about the things that you say to other people. They're lines. Like an NPC working at a counter. I walk up to the counter and I point and I say, I want some booze. And they're like, oh, you better not drink this all in one sitting. Well, guess what? I did last night. And I was lit out of my mind. I was way beyond 3 sheets to the wind last night. Oh my God, last night was a humdinger of a night. Anyhow, moving on to talking point number 3. The Prol breaks barriers by being highly optimized for low-end hardware, making it accessible to those with outdated laptops or minimal resources. It's not to the very it's a nod to the very audience it represents, the broke millennials, ensuring that they don't need a $2,000 gaming rig to enjoy a meaningful, thought-provoking experience. That talking point was completely unnecessary. But I read it anyway because ChatGPT stuck it out there. So, what do I have to say at the end of this other than what I put into toxic positivity? Because it's not about escaping the struggle, it's about surviving it with a little humor, some punk rock energy, and just enough hope to keep you going. That's all there really is in life. I think the one thing that truly just keeps me going is believing that someday I might actually meet someone that I'll care about. Because I've spent my whole life not caring about anything, not caring about myself, not caring about other people, not caring about society. I've spent my entire adult life just going to a job I hate because I hate the reason I have to go to work because I need food and shelter. Otherwise, I wouldn't go to work. And making fun of this process, especially when you're talking about the types of skill trees that you would have to create in this game in order to survive, right? Being able to deceive other people is probably the number one skill the proletariat has to work on constantly. Because when you show up at work and you don't want to be there, your boss knows. So the thing that we do when we get to work is we pretend to work. We pretend to care. We pretend that work isn't causing our brain to start oozing out of our ears and our eyes to roll back into our head. That's how all the proles would work if it were up to them. But no, we're expected to come to work, smile, pretend to be happy, be in a good mood, get excited about corporate pizza parties, look forward to the company Christmas party, know full well that you don't make enough money to celebrate Christmas, but when you come back from the Christmas break, you're supposed to tell everybody about how good of a time you had with your family and friends, even though you don't have any family or friends. I've been lying about having a good time over the holidays my entire life because nobody wants to hear my story. No one likes the feel bad story of the year. No family, no friends, an orphan, a person sitting at home with no furniture in their apartment. No one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear Debbie Downer talk about how much life sucks. And yet, we're supposed to lie about it every single day. And when you don't lie, people just look at you like, what did he say? because no one ever really pays attention to you. Remember, you're an NPC. Whatever comes out of your mind, the other NPCs natural response to anything other than, yeah, I'm great, everything's wonderful, I love my life. If you say anything but that, the other NPC, their eyes glaze over because they don't know what else to say. They don't want to hear how I spend my holidays. They don't want to hear your struggles. They just want you to say the line, smile, and then walk away. Hey, how's it doing? How's it going, Millennials? Saying, oh, great, man. The wife just had our third kid. And you walk away. You don't want to hear anything negative from people because you tune out. No one wants to hear a negative NPC. So we just start saying things that aren't true. And that's what the main point of this video game would be. How much we lie to society in order to maintain the status quo. Because no one cares that you're struggling financially. Believe me, especially not your boss. Because, as they say, the financial problems of the proletariat are no business of the corporation.